Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to another video on JavaScript methods and events in 30 days challenge. Today we are going to start looking at the JavaScript events, and today specifically is going to be the click event. So what does the click event do? Well, the click event is triggered when a mouse click occurs on an element. Well, that's actually very simple to understand. But in this video, I am going to show you 3 ways on how to add a click event on your element. So the first one is going to be our most popular one, which is the DOM or click property. And then the second one is going to be the event handling with ESCs our functions. And then the third one is going to be the named function reference. So to get started, I will give you a simple example, and after that, we are going to do a much more complex one, which is a practical way on how you can add a click event on your elements. The next thing I want to tell you before I actually start giving you all the examples is that I have created some buttons inside my index.html file with an ID of first button, second button, and third button. So inside the styles.css, I have added some CSS rules, and the finished product is what you're seeing right on this web page. And likewise, inside my JavaScript file, I have selected all these buttons, and now we can start using our onClick event. So I'll select the first button, and now I'll go with the onClick event, which is the DOM onClick property. And now we can assign it with this function keyword. And in here, you can pass in all your functionalities that you want to add after clicking on this particular button. Okay, so we're going to go simple. I just want to show you a simple example. And after that, we're going to do a practical example, which is going to give you a full insight on how to use the click event. So right now, I'll just go with our simple console.log. And in here, I'll just pass in you clicked me. Okay. So now, if I refresh my web page and open the console, if I click on our first button, we should see something. And just like that, you click me. And every time you click, this button is actually going to show you this message. So, life is great. This is our first way on how we can use the click event in JavaScript. So now let's look at the second one. So in here, I'll select my second button, just like that, and I'll go with add EventListener. And inside the parentheses, we need to pass in 2 things. The first one is going to be the click event, and then the second one is going to be our callback function. So in here, I'll go with my arrow function like that, and whatever functionality you pass in, it is going to be applied after clicking on the second button. So I'll show you the simple method, and after that, like I told you, I'll show you a much more complex one for you to understand how it works. So let's go with our simple console.log, and I will go with you click me again, just like that. So if I refresh my web page and click on the second button, you can see you click me again. So the third one is for us to actually pass in our name function reference, and we'll go with our third button. So in here, before we actually specify that, we need to create a function. So that function is going to be undo click, just like that. And in here, we can specify anything, absolutely anything. But we'll go with another console.log, and you will finally click me again and again. So before this function is going to work, we need to add our event listener. And the way this one works is that we'll go with our third button, and now we'll go with our add event listener. And inside the parentheses, we need to add the click event, which is the event that we actually want to add. And right now we need to pass in the function reference, which is the undo click. So now that this one is in place, if I refresh my page and click on the dot button, you can see we have you finally clicked me again and again. So basically, these are the 3 ways that I really want to show you on how you can add the click event on your element. So now that all this one is in place, let's go to our second button. And in here, we're going to do some logic. So to get started, I'll create a variable called items, and then I will assign it to our array. So this one is going to be random numbers. The array is going to contain random numbers. So after that, we are going to use our reduce method to calculate all this number. But we are not going to see the number until we click on that button. So the way this works is that we need to pass in our parameter, and I will go with accumulator and values, just like that. And always remember to return the accumulator. And we need to set the initial value of that accumulator to 0, just like that. Well, basically, if you don't understand how the reduce method works, I have already made a video on that. You can actually check the video in the description link for you to understand how the reduce method works. So now that we have our parameter in place, and then we've returned the accumulator and set this initial value to 0, now what we have to do is to calculate all the number by going with the accumulator plus or equals value, just like that. And if we log the items to the console, we are not going to see anything. But as soon as I click on our second button, we are going to see the total number of our items inside the console. Well, let's try it out. I click, and then you can see we have 115, which means that every time you add some functionality inside your callback function, you are only going to get the result after clicking on that particular button. So if the button is not clicked, nothing is going to happen. So that is how the click event works. And that is how JavaScript event works in general. Something must trigger something for something to happen. I hope you've learned something, and I hope that you're going to practice in order to solidify your understanding. So guys, with that being said, this is our tutorial video. I hope to see you in the next one.